Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Um, this journey started for me a few months ago. I got my Sentro 48 and Addi 46, and I just started doing a few projects, and then I couldn't stop. And then I went into YouTube and saw a few videos, and one YouTube channel really inspired me, and that's Shelly from Koala Knits and Knacks. She made a Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal, and I also made it. And then I just couldn't stop extending the family. And I posted a picture on Facebook recently, and a lot of people have been asking me for the pattern. So that's the reason for this video today. Hope you enjoy it. The yarn that I'm going to be using today is charity yarn. Um, so this color is maritime. I'm also using sea salt, also claret, and the last color, watermelon, and a little bit of black yarn for the eyebrows, just the details. So yeah, let's start. The first thing we want to do is cast on. So I'm going to get my first pig. So you just loop it around the first peg, and then you go to the back, to the front, back, front, back, front, back, front, all the way around until you get to the last peg. Once you have the last peg, you open the latch, shut it, reset your row counter to 0, and we are going to do 80 rows. I will see you back once we are done with 80 rows. Okay, so I'm on my last row. I'm just waiting for that first needle. Then I'm going to do a long tail cast off. So take a long piece of yarn, snip that off from your working yarn, open the latch, take that off, put it onto your last peg, and do one more round. Once you see your last peg here with the yarn attached to it, you can put through your needle and we can cast off. Do a few, do one at a time until you have enough slack on your work so you can do a few more. So normally do the first 4 and then I can get a few more. Just remember to keep your finger on each peg that's next to the one that you are removing, in order to keep the stitch intact. Otherwise you'll have a drop stitch. After this, we are going to do the ears, which is also done on the 46. You want those big floppy ears. Release this last few stitches. There we are. So the body is off, and just want to stretch it out a little bit. And then we're going to keep this aside until we are ready to assemble. Okay, so we are going to start with the ears, and we are going to use the same color as the body. So I'm going to cast on. And we are going to do 25 rows until we do a color change. And now when I reach my last peg, I'm going to do a color change. So cut off a little bit of the yarn. Put that down there. Going to get my next color, which is the watermelon. Put that in there. And I learned a new trick, it's called a joinless. So all you do is take your new working yarn, slide it in there to the side, pull on those two threads, pull it through a little bit, tighten it, and we are going to do another 25 rows, so your contour will be perfect. Your third or so row, pull these two apart until you feel a little resistance, and then you can tie them up. Snip them off. This is my last row. So I am going to cast off. So take a long piece of yarn, cut that off, open your latch, put it under the last peg, do one more round. Once you see that last peg, going to cast off. Thread your needle and do what we did previously. You are going to need a second one of this. So I'll see you after you've done your second one. So now that the ears have been done, we're going to do the head. So what I'm going to do is cast on with the body color. So I'm busy casting on at the moment. Okay, with my last peg, and we're going to reset our counter, and we're going to do 15 rows. Okay, I've done 15 rows of the body color. Now I'm going to do a swap or color change to the sea salt, the gray. I'm doing a jogless join. So I simply took my working yarn, put it around there, your last peg, hold the two together, do a few knits, take your working yarn, pull it so the stitches get tightened, and we are going to do 20 rows. Okay, I have done 20 rows of the sea salt or light gray. I'm going to snip that off. And then I'm going to change to my body color, and we're going to do another 15 rows. Doing the same jogless join. Okay. We are on row 50. I'm going to take a long piece of yarn and do a long tail cast off. Open the latch, put it under the last peg, close, reach the last peg. As you can see, I almost dropped a stitch there. Lucky I caught it in time because I went a little bit further. Okay, so you're going to take off this as a long tail cast off, and then I'll see you afterwards. So once we're done with the head, I've changed over to my Sentro, and I'm going to do a flat panel for the tail. So the flat panel can be either 5 to 7 needles. It will depend on you on how thick you want the tail. So what's going to happen, you're going to change your machine to a panel mode. And the reason that I'm using my Sentro is that I feel that it's a little bit more comfortable with flat panels with this yarn compared to my Addi or the 22, which struggles to do flat panels with this yarn. So okay, so I've already changed it to a flat panel. I am going to cast on with the first pig. So the first, the second, and the third pig are normally your turning pigs. And then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you need to add another 2 as turning pigs. Put that into your yarn feeder, into your tension gauge if you have one. Okay, so we've gone through once. We're going to go through again, and we're going to do this for 30 rows. Paying attention to your first and last pig, as sometimes they can struggle a bit. So just take it easy, slow, and you see that's my turning pig. Release that piece of yarn. So what I do is I just take that off. Pay attention to this pig. And to this pig. Once the yarn goes over this divider, you know that stitch is gone through. Turn back. This is the last peg, so you have to push that stitch down. I'm going to do this for 30 rows. Just one more. Let's see, just pull that down. There we go. We are done there. What we need to do now is cast off. So we're just going to cast off now. That stitch already dropped. There we go. We have our tail. So stretch it a little bit. Pull that in. Pull that in. Sorry if I wasn't in the camera. Okay, so yeah, just pull that in, pull that in. There you have your tail. I'm going to remove the Addi, the Sentro 48, and we're going to move on to the 22 machine now. So I've got my 22 machine here with me, and what I've done so far is I've cast it on with the body color, and I've done 10 rows. Then I'm going to change, and I'm going to put on the sea salt color or the light gray, and I'm going to do another 10 rows. Afterwards, I'm going to take the snip off the gray or the sea salt, and I'm going to go back with the body color, and I'm going to do another 10 rows. So in total you're going to have 30. I'm not going to do this on camera because this machine is a bit of a grinder and it's very hard to work with on camera, so it's going to make a lot of noise. So yeah, so 10 rows of the body color, 10 rows of the sea salt gray, and another 10 rows of the body color. Then you can cast off. You're going to make 4 of those. I'll see you back. Now that we are done with the arms and legs, this is just one of them. Stretch them out a little bit. We are going to cast on with our body color yarn, and we are going to do 10 rows and then cast off. These are going to form the cheeks of the face, and we are going to need 2 of them. And I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll see you when we are done. Now that the parts have been completed, we can start assembling Eeyore. So the 10 rows that we knitted on the 22 pin machine, this is what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one in, close that up, and then we are going to sew around a little bit. So I'm going to take that yarn, grab the top stitches there, go around just once, and we are going to tie this off, grabbing the top stitch there, and just doing a little knot there. You can do that again just to make sure it's nice and tight. And we are going to do that on the other side as well. So just put your thumb in there because we need to stuff it as well. So close it up a little bit until you have an opening there. Then you're going to take your fiber fill. I couldn't find the fiber fill in the craft store, so I opted for pillow stuffing, and it seems to work fine. So I grabbed a handful and just stuff it in there. You need this to be a little firm because it is forming the cheeks in the face. So if it feels a little bit soft, get a little more. Stuff it in there. Until it feels nice and firm. This seems to be perfect. What we're going to do now is just close this other end. Don't have to go around. We just want it to be firm. It is going under the face, so it doesn't need to be 100% secure. Then we'll just cut off the 2 ends. And this is going to form the cheek. Okay, here's my other one. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'll see you back when we're done. Now that we are done with the 2 balls for the face, I'm going to start with the actual face itself. So this is the face, and what are we going to do is we're going to pull to one side, and we are going to seam it up like a little beanie. So just getting that one side nice and closed. I'm going to put this thread on our yarn needle, Going to go around here once or twice. It's totally up to you. Just grabbing those top stitches. If this part is a bit too long, you can cut it a little bit shorter just to make your life a little bit easier. So yeah, so we're just closing off the one side, and then we're going to tie it off and pull it through to the other side. So what I'm going to do, sorry, is put the needle through here, center, grab it with my hand that's on the inside, pull this over like so, pull the needle through, and then we are going to close the other side. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. Going to go around here and at least once or twice. Making sure that the thread from the other side is through. Okay, so what's going to happen now? I'm just going to make this a little bit shorter, make it easier to work with. Okay, so we're going to tie the both ends together. Making sure it's nice and tight, but not too tight that you break your threads. And I usually do about 3 to 4 knots there. That's your little beanie that we are going to form into the head. So what we can do, you can put these 2 threads on needle, push it through so we can hide them. Alright, so this is the inside of our beanie, our tiny beanie, which is going to form the head. And what are we going to do now is just going to find where we would like the head to be formed. And if you are using safety eyes, which I am, going to insert them before you close the head, as if you don't, you'll have to open up the head to insert them. So what I do is I normally just check which side I want the eyes to be on, and that seems okay. So I'm going to measure about 1 inch to 2 centimeters above the face, above this little gray line here. So there should be fine. Put my thumb there, get my safety eyes, insert them through. This one. sides too. And then just going to put on the clips at the back to make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, so it's nice and secure. Now what we are going to do, we're going to stuff. Stuff it nice and well. Okay, so now that we stuffed it a little bit, we're going to cut off a piece of the sea salt or light gray, and we are going to close off this end. So what we do is, there is your stitches here. What I normally do is I grab one, skip one, grab one, skip one, grab one, skip one, until we get around. Once we get this closed, we're going to cinch it up a little bit, see how the stuffing is, and then we're going to insert the cheeks. See, I'm almost there. Okay, same at the last stitch there. Pull that through. Now that the ends are there, we can cinch it up a little bit and see if we have the right amount of stuffing. Seems pretty nice and firm. Now we're going to have to insert the cheeks. You want the cheeks on the either side of where the eyes are, down there. It's going to take a little bit of patience to get the cheeks in. So what I do is go in with the first one, there, and then we go in with the second one, like that, and we're just going to push it in a little bit. Good. And then we're going to pull on these ends like so, and there the face is beginning to form. Right. So pull nice and tight, like so, and there we have Eeyore's face, which is taking a nice shape. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to tie these ends nice and tight. Be careful not to break your yarn. So tie them as tight as possible. You can do a double knot there. Okay, we still have a little opening there, so what we're going to do is just reinforce that. So how we're going to do is just put our thread on our needle, go around on the top stitches there. As you get that around, you see it begins to close. And what I do is take the two ends, tie it together, and we can do it again just to get it nice and snug there. Once you've done closing your end, we can move on. So before we move on to the ears, I just want to form his nose. So here is the face, This is after we cinched it and we hid our tails in. So the nose is normally here. So what I do is I normally go a stitch down, so around here, and we want that little indent around there. So I'm going to get a little piece of the sea salt gray yarn, put it on my needle. Then I'm going to go a stitch down about a centimeter away from the eyes. Insert my needle there, come out onto the other side, pull that yarn through, and then we are going to go back in the opposite direction, but we are going to come down one stitch, put our needle through, and come back. Sorry, I lost my thread there. And we are going to come back on the other side where we went in. Also a stitch below. Pull that through. And then we can start tying our ends. And just to make sure that the nose is beginning to form, you can just smooth it out a little bit. Tie it up. I did a double knot there, and that's the nose. So what we can do is put these two threads onto our needle and just hide it in our work. And there we go. That's Eeyore's nose. Isn't it cute? Okay. From there, we have the ears to work on. So we're going to take the ear panel that we made, and we are going to pull on one side, similar to how we did the beanie. It's a little bit different. Just pull on the side. I'm going to reinforce that. Just going around the top stitches. I'm going to tie that off. Bring it through on the other side. And we are going to do the same on this side. Going to pull on our thread, close it up. Okay, so we've been around once. I'm going to tie the two ends together. So I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. Just make sure that both of them are quite tight. going to do my 3 knots there. Then we're going to stretch it out a little bit. Like so. Okay, so this is the inside of the ear. This is the top. So now to form the ear, what I normally do is I take a part of the ear like that, bring it into the center, and stitch that closed. So once that's done, we have Eeyore's ear. So I'm going to take my pink thread that we tied off on the other side. I'm going to bring it through. And I am going to stitch this, the end, to the middle. Did a few rounds there, and I can just tie that off. Okay, and then we can hide this on the inside here. I'll double layer. Snip that off. Okay, and this is the one ear done. So just stretch it out a little bit, and that's the ear. This thread, I'm going to bring it through into the top end here. And we're going to use that for sewing on the ear. And we are just going to tie a little knot there. So I lost my needle there. Just going to tie a little knot there, bring a thread through, tie it, and that's one of the ears done. Okay, hope I explained that well enough. Yes, so we're going to do that to the other one as well, and that's the ears that are done. So next we are going to start with the body. So this is the body panel, and what I've done so far is that I've pulled through this thread and I've reinforced it here. I'm going to tie it up. I'm going to pull it through onto the other side and make a little beanie. And once we've reached that stage, I'll show you what we're going to do next. So this is the little beanie that we made. And now what we're going to do is pull these threads through. So what I'm going to do is just make it a little bit shorter. And you can pull this through to the inside. So before I stuff, I'm going to do a little drawstring on the other end, and that's similarly like how we closed up the head. So I'm going to do that, and then we can start stuffing. Leave a stitch, pick up a stitch. So that's basically it until you get around to the end, and we can start stuffing. I'll see you when we're done. Okay, so now that we have the drawstring, I've put in a little bit of stuffing as well. We're going to stuff it a little bit more, but we're not going to stuff it to the point where it's round. We want it long, like a long log basically. So stuff until you get the desired shape that you want. So just pull on the drawstring, push that stuffing in and play with it a little bit until you feel that it's the shape of Eeyore's body. Okay, so that's might need a little bit more. So as I said, this is pillow stuffing, so it's quite dense, and a little bit does go a long way. A little bit more. There. Just work it in. I think this should be perfect. Yes, this is perfect. What we're going to do is we're going to close up that end, like how we did the end on the face. And then we can start with the legs. So the next part is the legs, and that's pretty simple. Similar process. We're going to pull on one end, bring that string through to the other side. Going to pull the other end, and we are going to tie the boat together. Going to do about 2 to 3 knots. And then what we can do is just stretch it out a little bit. Then this strands, we can hide it inside. Just want to make sure it's in the center so it looks neat. Okay, our needle. Okay, so that's basically it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a drawstring here. So I've cut off some pieces of the sea salt light gray, and I'm going to do what we normally do to create a drawstring. Okay, so we created the drawstring around that first leg. So what are we going to do now is we're going to take a little bit of stuffing and we are going to stuff it into the leg. So now we do not want to overstuff the leg. So once you put a little bit of stuffing in, just play with it and then see if anything is popping out, if it's overflowing a little bit, you can remove a little bit. Okay. You want the legs to be firm but not overly firm. And yeah, you pull on those drawstrings and that's the first leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this up. so, and I can hide them in the inside. What I did by mistake is I put that two drawstrings inside. You should only put one in and leave one out because you're going to use that for stitching later. So it's not a big issue. What I can do is just get another thread and join it here. But yes, leave one thread outside so you can use it for joining later. So I'm just going to hide this on the inside and continue with the rest of the legs. And once we are done, we will move on to the next step. Okay, so this is what I've done so far. I've added some eyebrows. And that's very simple to do. All you need to do is to get some black yarn, put it onto your needle, insert the needle from the side, and come into the area where you would like to add the eyebrows. I did about 3 stitches each for each eyebrow. And I've also sewn the head to the body. So what you need to do is lay your body and heads flat onto the table, and then get a piece of yarn, attach it to the head, and then sew it onto the body. So to sew it on, you take your yarn, stitch there, stitch onto the body, stitch from the head, stitch to the body, all the way around, and then tie off and hide that piece. And this is how it looks. Next, we're going to add the legs, and we're also going to attach the ears. And then we're going to do some finishing details with the tail and also adding his hair on the top. So this is the first leg. I'm going to see where it looks good. So I see around there, it's perfect. It's going to add one here, going to add one here, and at the back. You can see it coming together. After that, we're going to do the ears. So I'm going to attach the legs now, and I'll see you back. So we're going to start with the ears now, and I've laid him flat. I've attached all the legs already, as you can see. There's the back ones. Okay, so I laid him flat on the table. I'm just going to see now where I'm going to attach the ear. So I need to leave some space for the hair. So we see this join here. I'm going to go down maybe 4 stitches, and I'm going to attach the ear there. Then I'm going to hide this on the inside. Snip that off. Okay, that's one of the ears that's joined. Going to do the other one on the other side, and we're going to do his hair, and lastly the tail. I've joined the other ear, and this is the finished look. So now what we're going to do is add some details here. We're going to add some of the hair. So to do that, I've got a piece of cardboard, which is about 6 or 7 centimeters, and I'm going to get some of my yarn, black yarn, and we're going to just wrap it around. So just wrap it around until we have a little pile there. Then I'm going to snip that part off. Then I'm going to take my scissors and cut in the middle. And then we have a little pile of yarn. So what are we going to do now is we are going to take our crochet hook, which is a 4mm. So I'm going to take 2 strands of what we just cut, 2 strands of yarn. Just make sure they're equal size, because some of them, because the first and last one is going to be shorter. Okay, got 2 strands. Gonna fold it in half, and now we have 4. Gonna hold it like this. Gonna take your crochet hook, gonna go under where that little notch is, where we sewed together, just above that there. Going to put my crochet hook in, pick up a stitch, put that yarn that we had in our hand on the crochet hook, put it through, take that loop that we pulled through, put it over the ends and pull through. So we're going to do that on this whole section until it's covered. Once you've completed the whole top here, we'll move on to the tail. I'll see you when we're done. I've done a little bit of the hair, and this is what it looks like at the moment. If you want, you can do a little bit more, like another row here, to create an even thicker effect. From there, we are going to do the tail. So I'm going to get that flat panel piece that we did. I'm just going to move this one side. So the flat panel, what I did was I took a needle and a thread and a button. So I'm going to sew the button on here. And now we get to use the claret. So in order to make that little bow, I took 3 fingers or even 4, wrapped it around a few times. Took that off my fingers, took the yarn, wrapped it around the middle. To create a little bow. So all I'm going to do now is just snip that off, make a little knot, in the center, and we have the little Okay, so I'm going to sew that on with a needle and thread, and I'm going to add some of the black yarn at the bottom of the tail, and that's pretty simple. All you're going to do is put your crochet hook through a stitch at the bottom, like what we did previously. Take that thread, pull that through, go over to your ends, pull them through, and here we go. Then to make it extra frilly, I take a needle, go into the yarn threads, just kind of unravel it, make it a little bit more like a tail. So just go into each thread and unravel it. It should give you that tail effect. Okay, so what I'm going to do here as well, I'm going to take this thread and just close it up here a little bit. So it doesn't look like it's opening up. Just a little bit there. Just going to do a notch here. There we go. Let's stretch that out a little bit. We can take this and hide it into our tail there. Let's snip that off. That's our tail. The bow, I'm going to take it and put it here. So just going to take this onto my needle, put it in there, go back into there, go to the back and tie it up. Let's do that one more time. Let's snip that off. That's the little bow at the bottom of Eeyore's tail. Okay, so I'm going to sew the button onto here, and then I'm going to attach it here. And I'm going to show you the finished product when I'm done. So this is the finished product. I did add a little bit more black yarn to the head, and this is the sides, one side, and this is the back, with the bow at the bottom. Yes, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and comment below if you'd like me to do more videos. Thank you so much. Bye.